Hey guys, this is Theresa Depasquale with Andy Murphy on Mindset by Design.
Okay, Mindset by Design crew. So you've had my awesome intro as always. So you know I'm pumped about today's guest. How are you, Theresa?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I'm a little bit sweaty just because we got to Panama and it's like, I don't know. I was in the UK and it was cold because I was getting knee surgery. Then I came to Florida in the winter and you forget, right? You forget that heat.
Somehow we're still cool here. It's been an actually really nice winter here for Florida, shockingly.
Yeah, well, that's Florida, right? That's Florida. Where are you from originally?
Tampa, Florida.
You are?
Born and raised. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm like an extremely rare breed around here because usually everyone's a transplant.
Right, exactly. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Born and raised. I was born in the women's hospital here in Tampa.
No way.
Real,
hey.
What do they call it, Florida cracker?
Florida cracker. I like it. I like it. So you must have seen Tampa change radically because I know I have in about 4.5 years. And when I came there 4.5 years ago, I felt like a weirdo because it felt like I was the only entrepreneur. It felt like there was Steph, obviously my girl, but it's like, that was it. I couldn't find anyone. I was going everywhere.
I've always felt like that. That's why, in fact, it's funny because I never felt like I belonged here because when I was younger, I moved to Orlando for 3 years because Orlando was a bigger city. So I was like, get me out of this town. There's like nothing going on here. What am I doing here? And I ended up moving back. So I went to school, back to college. But it's definitely grown leaps and bounds. And I feel like the last couple of years, it's like tremendous, like exponential growth. So I'm excited. I feel like we're finally becoming like actual city.
It's cool now. It's actually gone cool.
Yeah, finally, like we're getting things to do, places to eat, like people are moving here. I'm actually getting like people contacting me that are doing big events here because I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I used to be the one like putting on anything that's going on. There's nobody here, like you said, there's nothing.
Right.
So it's cool. I'm not complaining. I love it.
No, I'm not complaining at all. There's some cool people. I love it, man. So you are quite an impressive lady. Okay, let's start there, right? Yeah, you can blush, and you should because you've done some amazing things, and you're doing amazing things, you know, and I love that. And we met at an event, and I just thought you were awesome, and you and your husband. I had a really good chat with your husband, got on really well with him, and you seem like it's all got it all together from the outside, right?
Wow.
Hey, I'm just saying from the outside, right?
The duck, right? The duck that's like doing it underneath. You're like,
the legs are flapping underneath.
Yeah, that's definitely me.
So where did the entrepreneur spark come from? Is that you as a kid? Is that you trying to get out of Tampa? Where's it spark from?
Well, yeah, you know what, now that you say that, maybe a little bit, I guess you're right. I always had, so when I was in high school, it's funny because I didn't mind like English and like some of my science classes, but I always like failed my math classes. And so I just hated school, and my parents were not like big academics at all, like at all. So school, like they were like, look, don't fail, but like it wasn't like a big thing. They didn't really like put, pressure on me. So when I was in high school, I ended up taking, it's called OJT, it's on the job training. And I would basically get out at like 10:30 and go work and get credit for working. Because my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up. Yeah. And so I wanted nice things. I've like always had just expensive taste from when I was a kid, and they could never afford anything, and it drove me crazy. So I was like, I'm going to work and make my own money. Because I remember like Christmases that it was just like such a letdown as a kid, and they did their best, but as a kid, you're like, okay, I can't, I'm not living like this. So I always just was like obsessed with working and making money. And I started working, I was bartending in restaurants. I kind of like finagled my way in and said I had experience. I didn't, got the job bartending. I was making like good money. And then I don't know if you're familiar with this brand, but it's, how they have like the Hooters restaurants. Well, here in Tampa, there was a chain called Wing House that opened. That was like their competitor, but they had a full liquor bar. And so when they were first opening, I was basically their corporate bar manager, and I would go, and that's why I moved to Orlando. I was like, yeah, I'll move. And I went and opened all their restaurants when I was 18, and like set up their bars, trained everybody. And I've always just been like a go-getter kind of person. I don't know if it was entrepreneurial, but I've definitely been like a hustler.
I love that word.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have always worked really hard and found ways to make money and like been creative, but the entrepreneurial thing definitely was an influence, I think, more of my husband, or I don't know, maybe just more access to me learning things. It's kind of a culmination of everything. But I think like growing up, if you want to talk about mindset, my parents were like a very different mindset that I have. My dad was a cop growing up. So he was a very like, I call, the DISC test, the S personality, and he's very stable and he doesn't like to do anything out of the status quo, and it has to be secure, and he doesn't like to take a risk. And it's one of those things, they have to have the paycheck for the salary. And so it was one of those, like, that's how my parents were. And like, they didn't hire anybody to do the yard work. And so I always like looked at them like, why don't you hire a cleaning lady? Like, why don't you, and then you can go make more money. It just never made sense to me. So I grew up with that, like my mom actually, this is a cool story. So when I was a baby, she was a manager at Burger King, the fast food restaurants, like not even a manager. She was basically like a front, whatever, cashier. Yeah. And from the time that I was a baby to an adult, she worked her way up to become, she just recently resigned as the president of Steak and Shake restaurants. So I don't know if you're familiar with what Steak and Shake.
I know Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Good
So she literally worked her way up from a freaking cashier to the president of a massive chain over my lifetime with no college degree. She was a GED dropout. So look, I get the chills when I say that story. So my mom is a boss lady too, but she still has a little bit of that corporate, like, secure, I have to have a salary mentality. There was never an entrepreneurial like spirit in my family. It was more of like work really hard and be successful, but like under this constraint. So when I met my husband, fast forward, his family is very entrepreneurial, like very. And so his mom was like, I mean, when I met her, I was like, wow, she is awesome. She was a president of this huge real estate company. She owned cleaning companies that would like service. I mean, she was like a total hustler. So I think that kind of like opened my eyes, and I was like, wow, I can do this. Like, I can start a business. And so I think that was really like the inception of my entrepreneurial spirit. Gotcha. But the work ethic and the drive and the hustle definitely come from my family. So it's funny how like everything kind of merges.
It's amazing how things click together. Like I always talk about business and life like a big jigsaw puzzle. And it's like, you don't necessarily know what all the pieces are, but there's loads of pieces and you're putting them together, right?
But it's weird. If you look back, you're like, okay, I can kind of see how I ended up here, but like you never would have thought that you'd end up where you are. But it just kind of like,
So that's a beautiful question. Like, because everyone talks about like really getting definitive on the vision, the goal of life, the 5-year journey, all of those things, right? Has that been your concept of building a business, or is it just like evolved and you've just put the pieces together as it goes?
So that's a great question. I think that in the beginning, that definitely was not the vision. It just was like happening to me. So everyone always says like, how did you get started? And it's funny. So I actually, when I was 25, maybe 26, I had my son. And I was a new mom, newer wife, and I tried the whole stay-at-home mom thing, and I did not love it. I love my son, but like I was just so bored out of my mind. I was like,
I can imagine you.
Yeah, every time my husband would come home, I'd be like, so how was your day, honey? Like I felt like I had nothing going on but shopping. I was like, So it just wasn't the life for me. I love my kids, so I decided I'm not going to go work anywhere. So I'm going to open my own business because I'm going to bring my kid with me because I want to own the business so he can be right there because I'm not going to leave my kid. So I was like, let me open gyms. So I have this partner. We decided to open this boutique health club. Cool. And it's back when, before Orange Theory was around, we had power plates. So I don't know if you're familiar with the vibration.
Yeah.
So this is in 2012, I think. No, 12. So my son was a baby, 11 or 12. So before Orange Theory, we were basically like an Orange Theory with power plates. We had like classes and they would jump back and forth and like do all this stuff. And it actually was so awesome. Yeah. Just a lot of problems though. Number one, I was like so young and naive. I had a crazy business partner. Like I said, I was a new mom, and then I ended up getting pregnant, losing a baby, and then getting pregnant again, having my daughter in the midst of running these gyms. And then we ended up like killing the first year at the one gym, made a profit our first year. And then we went and opened another one foolishly. So it's kind of like all these things combined, and all of a sudden, like everything was just like so much to deal with. And I ended up, my husband was old school. I say he was because he's not. He still is at heart, but he's made leaps and bounds of personal growth. He's old school Italian, so he was having a really hard time with like me working and him trying to like come home from work and deal with the kids when I had to go to work. And so we had a lot of things that we had to work out as like a couple. and new parents and gym owners. And so it ended up becoming like extremely stressful.
Yeah.
For my business partner, I was never ever working enough. And for him, I was always working too much. And so I kind of felt like I was like being quartered, you know, like being pulled in like every direction. I could never win. So it ended up one day, my grandmother had just like literally died suddenly, and I wasn't expecting it. And I was very close to them because my parents worked a lot, so they raised me.
Right.
And so I think just like the culmination of like my grandmother's death, all the stress, everything I've been through, I woke up one morning and I had these like crazy like lumps on my neck.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. So long story short, fast forward, it was a disaster. My husband, I've never seen my husband like freak out because he's a physician, because usually he's like very calm about everything. And he was like, oh my God, like go today to the ENT, like you have to go. So dropped my son at school, went to the ENT, had my daughter. And they basically looked at me and they looked at my neck, and he's like, I don't even have to like palpate. He's like, you're like a typical case for lymphoma. He's like, you need to go right now and see what your options are for whatever chemo. And he's like, just go like immediately. Cause it literally was like a freaking, my hair stands up. It was like a huge like, ball, like and stuff on my neck. So anyways, my husband was like, he's being very holistic, and he's like, you're not going to get anything chemo radiation. You're going to go see, there's a doctor here in Tampa at Utopia Wellness called Carlos Garcia.
Oh, wow.
Like, alternative therapies. So I called, got in with him. Long story short, I never even got a scan. So there was never even a confirmation of what the hell I had or didn't have. But after 10 days of like intensive therapy with him, he put me on like IVs, detox, emotional therapy was a big one. So, you know, Bruce Lipton, he makes you watch like bioavailability, belief and everything. But the tumors were totally gone, completely gone in 10 days. I did a
10 days.
And there's nothing there. So it's the craziest story of my life. But anyways, it was very eye-opening. And basically, my husband at that point was like, so you're either going to close the gyms or I'm going to burn them down, because I'm not going to lose my wife over a freaking gym. So we decided we closed one and then like half sold the other one. I had to do bankruptcy on both of them. It was the worst time of my life. Like literally, I owed my grandma money. I owed my husband money. I felt like a complete failure. Like literally the worst time of my life. Him and I were going to divorce. Like, you know, all the things, because money is
chaos.
So we somehow made it through that, and there was so much resentment. We went to therapy, and like at the end of that next year, I was like bored again, obviously, because I'm not working. And so I'm like, you know what? I need a new challenge. So I don't know anything about this whole competitive fitness thing. So let me just like try to do a show and see what I can do, because it's
okay. But you were really into fitness already, right?
Yeah, I was super into fitness, but bodybuilding is like a totally different animal, and I didn't know that. I know health and wellness, fat loss, like lifestyle, functional movement. But bodybuilding, I like didn't know what to do. So I was like, let me just dive into this whole world of like see what's going on over here. So I did a show, sucked horribly, had a horrible coach. And then I was gonna quit. And then I met this other girl, and she's like, you know, you should really try this other federation over here. I think you'd really like it. And it's totally different. It's classy. Ended up doing that and got obsessed with it. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like being bad at something. So I'm gonna keep doing this until I win, because I have to win this. So 3 shows later, I got my pro card in that. And it's crazy. So this is where like nothing was planned. So along that journey is when Instagram started. So I feel like I was kind of one of those right time, right place, because like as Instagram started, it wasn't this whole fitness sensation like there is now, like on Instagram. There was barely anybody doing it. So I was like one of the first people doing the whole fitness thing on there. So as I was like going through this whole journey, I was posting and then like grew a following. And then I am very analytical. So I started realizing like how basically back, I don't know if you were on Instagram where they did like the share for share. Remember the whole like, follow my friend.
Right.
They had the big share pages. Well, I caught on really quickly. And so I built big share pages, and I would sell marketing on there. So I would sell like basically to all these people who wanted to grow their following. They would pay me to put them on my page to blast it to my followers. And that's how I built my page, personal page. And then I had a really big one. It was called Squat for That Booty. And Kim and Chloe followed it. Like it was a huge page.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. And then this is back when the whole butt thing was big. And
right.
So I took advantage of that. I made booty programs. I was all over all that. And then I kind of saw that was dying out and not working. So I sold the pages for like, I mean, it wasn't a lot.
It was money.
And now Instagram's totally different, obviously. There's algorithms, and it's a completely different animal. They have paid advertising, so you got to pay for everything to be seen.
So that's a great question. That's a great point to bring up. And I love that story, by the way. Thank you. That's epic. And so what are you seeing this big shift? Because social media, right, in general, is just become noise. It's just become noise, right? And how to get through that noise to actually speak to the person that you're trying to help is becoming harder and harder because why? Any douchebag
and unique, yeah.
Because any douchebag can pick a thing up, and guess what? They read a quote this morning that someone else wrote and go da 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 da. Why have I got 18 million followers? Because I'm going da da da. It's like
the point of that algorithm. I mean, I see what they were trying to do with it is they were trying to make it to where only really good content gets seen because there's so much nonsense. But what happened is, and like I'm sure you can attest to this, you know, say that you like somebody something, then you see like 5 million of their posts, and you're like, but what about my other friends or the people that I follow? I don't want to see. What actually makes, like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't like things that I would normally like because I don't want to see 5 million of that person's things in a row. So it's like, okay, like I don't like that. I'm like, okay, now I can't even be authentic because this stupid algorithm, you know. So they're trying to figure out how to make it work, but I'm not a big fan of the algorithm at all.
No. So where do you feel it's shifting to, and how do you think you can break through this noise? You mentioned that being authentic.
Yeah.
And just real.
I mean, from my experience, so like this is part of what I do now. It's funny because like to kind of not digress, but just to finish up what I was talking about is, so with that whole disaster and tragedy, I kind of like built this whole online business that took off, and then I built my entire Bikini Boss brand. And so I'm kind of at a place now where from there, since that's already done, I'm like transitioning into I'm pivoting into a new area because I have all these connections. I have all this experience on my end as an influencer. I know all these people. I'm part of these mastermind groups. So now I'm pivoting and doing like social media marketing and influencer marketing. So like, for example, I'm going to meet somebody today, and like what I teach them is that, you know, if you want to be successful on social media, you have to take it seriously. Nobody that's successful is like not actually like putting a lot of thought and effort into what they're doing. Gotcha. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot, like you have to commit to it. Right. Whether it's your stories, you know, talking to your followers, like it's a very big commitment. So there's people that think they can just post stupid stuff like half-assed. They're not gonna make any traction because there's so many people out there doing it like seriously, like committing to it. Yeah. That if you want to really be seen, I mean, if you're doing it for your personal page, that's one thing. You know what I mean? That's not if you don't care. But for business, you've got to like take it seriously.
Interesting. Because I have never like I've had Instagram and I've never really like spent effort into it. Probably a mistake, but now
there's formulas. There's like I've got formulas I give my clients that I'll be like, hey, you have to like let's go through and like I kind of evaluate like everything they do in their life and what their brand is about and like the different components of their life, and then we come up with how they should be posting.
Right. And so is that like, let's talk about it because this is your new little baby, right? You're influencer marketer. I love it. So why, first of all, what problem are you solving? Like, say for me, right? Because I'm not just starting to use Instagram properly, right? So what would you do? What would you first of all do with someone if they come along to you and they had 5,000 followers and that was it?
Well, let me answer your question about like, what's the point? So this is the issue. And I can tell you, my husband just went through this because I've been on my husband's ass to do his social media and build like his channels, like whether it's YouTube or, you know, everyone has something that they love, Instagram, Facebook. Right. And they've been crushing conventional marketing, like Facebook ads or whatever, they're, you know, newspapers or whatever. And so for a long time, he's like, no, I don't have time to do that. Well, guess what happened? Facebook came in and they changed something on their ads to where now you can't get the same insights. So now they're paying double for the same lead and they have to go through 5 million more people to get the same amount of clients. And so now he's scrambling because he put too many eggs in one basket. So as a business owner, you always want to diversify and you don't want to count on one way. You want to make sure if you're trying to get people to look at eyeballs at your, whatever it is, product, service, brand, whatever, you know, you want to do conventional marketing, you want to do social media, you want to do a blog, you want to do a podcast. And like what they say is what it takes 7 touches normally for someone to, if they don't know you, to trust you enough to buy your product. So you need to give them ways to learn and like you and trust you. So if you're not doing social media, then how are they going to do that? Like that's how you know your personality and that you're authentic. So social media is like the way that you're showing people like, okay, yeah, I'm this big brand and I'm this or whatever, but like you have a podcast, people can hear you, they can relate to you, but that's one way. What if somebody doesn't like podcasts? Then they want to read your post. See what I'm saying? So it's kind of giving them like different ways to learn about you and what you do and that you're authentic. And so I think that's the importance of doing your social media.
And because everyone's got a different learning modality, right? So like for me, I have a bit of dyslexia. So for reading, for me, it's a nightmare, right? But for again, audio, if I put an audio book in or a podcast, I remember everything. Right, about the whole thing.
And some
but
people
reading
like
doubled up.
So
it makes sense. It makes sense. So but then the question I can hear people already asking, but it's like, but we're supposed to do everything, because everything, you know what I mean? It's like, are we supposed to do every single platform?
no, I mean, I tell people, like, take the one or two that you really like and you're good at, dominate those, master those, and then when you get those down, they're going, then you can kind of go, you know, like for me, I've never done YouTube, not because I'm scared of being on camera, because I haven't taken the time to figure it out. Like, I don't know anything about how to market on there, or like what kind of, I haven't had the time to figure it out because I spend so much time on Instagram that I'm right now doing Facebook. I'm diving into Facebook at the moment. And so like, I'm kind of trying to get these two. And then I've started blogging. I'm gonna start a podcast soon. So it's like, I haven't even gotten to YouTube yet. So I think really focus on one or two and like dominate them and then move on to the next one.
I love that.
Instagram, and why I like it is because I feel like it's combined a lot of the ones we've had before. Like for example, now we have stories, which is like a Snapchat. So, and then you have your wall posts, and then now they have IGTV. So it's kind of like you can pretty much do everything on Instagram now. That's why I'm on there all the time.
I like that. I like that. And it's becoming more of a dominant platform, especially it's a younger generational platform, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you'd be shocked though. There's some, I mean, I wouldn't say older, but yeah, there's tons of millennials on there, but there's definitely like, we're not the millennials, we're generation Y. What is ours? X, Y? I don't know.
Something, right? QG.
The mature.
The older crew.
Yeah.
So OCD, right? I'm a big fan. And I've done podcasts about OCD, world-class OCD. And I think it's like a secret power, right?
It definitely can be. It
has to be directed the correct way. Mm-hmm. Because the thing about being an entrepreneur, right? Because our brains click, lock, and that's what they do, right? And that's I haven't met a successful person, not just in business, in life or anything, that isn't this way. But the opposite side of that is we can beat ourselves up so bad and tear ourselves to bit because, again, the pattern, the neurology, and the chemicals are looping in a different direction. Mm-hmm. So when we point it in the right way, the dopamine's hitting, we're constantly in novelty. That's a beautiful thing, right? So I can already tell that's your nature. So in a good way, I'm a big fan. So is it something that you manage? Is it something that you do feel is a superpower, or am I just way off the mark with you?
No, I mean, you know what, and I hate saying this because I hate labels, but it's just the truth, and it's okay if you use it in a positive way. But I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was younger. And so for me, like creating systems and habits that are like OCD-like has been my saving grace. Right. So I have to become like that. And it makes me to where, like, for example, I know this is going to be silly, but like, I do silly things around my house. Like I color organize my closet because it's efficient. It's efficient for me. Like I go in, I'm like, okay, I want a white shirt. It's right here. Like, you know, everything is about efficiency for me. Right. Like when I put my Tupperware away, I put all the lids on and it's organized. So I'm not sitting there like, I hate having to like sift through stuff. So it's just little things like that. I know that sounds like silly, but it helps me a lot to stay sane, because if not, I'm just like, I can't even focus. And so I think that's almost become a coping mechanism for my brain. That's like like nonstop. That the OCD, like getting like those systems and like behaviors in place has helped me cope with being like that. So, but I don't think I have it in a negative way. I think it's like you said, I use it in like a positive way.
I just haven't met anybody. Yeah, exactly. I haven't met. It's like when you're, for example, you were training for bodybuilding. It's so, because one of my friends is Ben Pakulski, and the bodybuilding guy, BPAC, and again, bodybuilding's a strange thing to me. Do you know? To me, I've done martial arts all my life, so I was always training to fight. Right, that was the idea. But when you're training to make a muscle just look a very specific way, your OCD must go, or just in general, it must go crazy.
It does. I mean, I don't think that's a healthy thing. That's why I don't compete anymore. So like I could never, to be that kind of like Ben Pakulski's level of a bodybuilder, you have to have that specific, I don't have that in me.
Right.
Be like that just personally. Nothing against him. I just don't want to be like in that lifestyle. But definitely
He's away from it now. He's away from it for the same reason.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
It's so you get like this crazy mind work. It's insane. But I think people that are really successful in it have to have that. Absolutely. 1,000%. You can't, because you have to obsess over every little thing and like analyze. You have to be very analytical. So I'm definitely, it's funny because I remember growing up and I used to think I was not analytical at all. And as an adult, I'm like, I'm the most analytical person. I analyze everything to death. I catch on to everything. I overanalyze. I have to stop myself and be like, okay, you're being crazy. So I'm very like in that way. But I never used to think I was like that until an adult. I don't know if I developed that. I
don't know. Well, your mom definitely has got similar genes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure.
Create success. So how the heck do you balance family life? How do you balance being an awesome mom? How do you balance being an awesome wife? How?
I don't think there is a thing called balance. For me, it's like there's never balance. I feel like it's one of those like, it's got like those scales, but there's like multiple, and everything is always like kind of like doing this all over the place,
Right.
One area might be going really well, and then the other one sucks, and then you go over here, and then this one sucks, and then you're like constantly trying to like put out fires everywhere. That's honestly what I feel like it's like. I don't ever feel like I'm balanced. I feel like when I'm doing really well at work, that I need more, my kids need more attention, or when I'm giving my family attention, then my work is suffering, and or my fitness is suffering, or my husband is suffering, or so who was it? I think it was Ed Milet, or somebody put out something that was talked about like how the balance is a lie. I totally agree with that. I think that's, it's a good goal to try to like aspire to, but I don't know if it's achievable. You know what I mean? I think it's better to accept, and so you don't beat yourself up over not having balance, because I don't feel like there ever is balance.
Right. Yeah, to create anything brilliant, that's what it takes, right? It takes all the time, effort, and energy, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, otherwise we wouldn't create anything, right?
Yeah, I love it, and I think that the hardest thing for me is, obviously growing up with the way that I did with my mom, she wasn't around a lot because she worked all the time. Right. So for me, it's really important that I am there for my kids. So I give myself a lot of like guilt and grief when I'm traveling, or when I do anything. It's really hard for me to I've actually been working with my therapist with this, because like she said, as a working mom, it's easy. You have mom guilt as it is, but then when you leave, and she's like, look, you're not abandoning your kids. They're with your husband, or we have a girl that's amazing. She's been with us for 4 years. She's like part of the family. Nice. You're FaceTiming them. It's not like you abandoned. And I'm like, okay, you're right. You're having to like work through all this guilt. I'm like, oh.
And I get that.
It's an ongoing process.
I get that. So if you could rewind your life 3 years, what would you do different? Yeah, 3 years. 3 years. A lot of things has changed in the world in 3 years. I just come back to Panama, and I haven't been here in 8 months, and it's like, wow, that's changed. Never mind life, So what would you do different? Or what would you double down on?
I think, so a couple of years ago, so I've been doing this Bikini Boss, whatever, for between 5 and 6 years or so. And about the second, like halfway through, I started falling out of love with like the competitive stuff. But I had built this whole business around it, so I kind of felt stuck in it. But what was happening is, because I wasn't being my authentic self and listening to what I really wanted to do, I started like resenting everything I was doing. And it finally came down to where I was like, I'm literally like I just like let go of all of that. And so I let go of a lot of income, a lot. I built a whole business on it to kind of pivot and start doing what I really believe, which I love fitness and wellness, but I'm not into the whole competitive stuff anymore. And so now I feel like I wish I would have done that sooner. It was such a hard thing to like that scary jump of like letting go of all that income to start something totally new, but I would have been way ahead, If I would have 2 years ago, I'm like, I wish I would have just listened to and saved the stress and the depression. And because I am a very, if you're a creative person, like, it's your art.
Yes.
You can't be forced to do something you don't want to do. I don't have it in me. I just don't. And so if I'm forced, I like literally shut down. I don't want to do anything. And I'll go into like a weird depression. And so unfortunately, I've had a couple of those the past couple of years. And so now I'm excited and happy because I'm like following my passion again. So,
and you think that's a huge lesson for everyone? Congruence. It's
what you believe in too. If you don't truly believe in something, I don't feel like you can really be successful in it.
Right, right. Otherwise, it's going to eat you up, right? Because
Yeah.
some people are doing it still.
Yeah. And I mean, some people can do it. I don't know how, but for me, in my soul, my heart, and as like I said, as me putting art out to the world, which is my writing, I'm a writer.
Right,
So for me to be able to do that, I have to be in like alignment. I can't.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, and I just wish more people were.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard job. You know, I feel like I'm in a fortunate position that I have also a husband who's very successful, and he's able to like pick up the slack when I am doing this whole transition, because, you know, like thank God I'm not a single mother with 3 kids that I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, like how do they do that? So I'm very, very grateful for a lot of things in my life that I'm able to do that. So, but I see where people get stuck, and, you know, it's a huge jump, you know, because it takes time. You don't just build a business overnight. It's not like an overnight thing.
No, and that's what I'm sure drives you crazy about the fitness world, the overnight, right? And it's the same with the internet marketing world. Overnight, earn $18 billion in a week. You know,
anyone that's successful knows that's all a lie.
I know, of course.
The overnight 10-year success.
yeah, exactly. But it's fascinating to me, like like your fitness world. So what do you call your world now? Is it still health and fitness, or is
I'm a health and fitness expert. I still love fitness, and I have an app, and I do fitness stuff, but I just got away from like the competitive and went more lifestyle, just like overall health and wellness fitness, not like extreme, you know, competitions.
Right. So tell me about like obviously we've got a few more minutes left, and you're a busy lady, so you got to jump. So tell me more about like the app, and because there's going to be people going to be Googling the hell out of you right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So I love fitness, and obviously, so I didn't even tell you. So the reason that I got into this is because when I was younger, when I was doing all the bartending, especially and stuff, and I had the ADHD, and I started drinking, and I woke up one day and I was like smoking cigarettes, drinking soda, eating processed food, all the things, just all wrong. And I felt so bad. I'll never forget one day, and I like quit smoking, and I'm like, God, I can't keep doing this myself. And that's when I told my mom, I'm like, I'm moving home and I'm going back to school because I have to get out of this bartending environment. It was so bad. And for like an 18 or 19-year-old, I was making good money, but I looked at the bartender next to me that was like 40, and I'm like, I'm not doing this my whole life. I could see how you get sucked into it, and I'm like, this is not what I'm doing. So I moved home, and it's funny because I had no idea what I wanted to do when I started college. I just was like, let me just take the prereqs, and I don't know, I'll figure it out. And I took a human biology course, and literally that course, I was like so shocked at how the body worked. I was like, I'll never forget. I was like, what? Like, this is digestion? Like, what am I doing to myself? I'm poisoning myself. So I stopped drinking soda. I stopped smoking cigarettes. I changed my diet, started exercising, got off my ADD medication. My entire life changed. And so that basically sparked my whole passion for health and fitness, which is why I opened gyms and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, so that was my passion. So what happened was when I started competing, I fell in love with that. But then after you compete a while and you get into the warp, you start falling out of love with it, because what happens is it takes away from what fitness actually is. And so, you know, fitness is supposed to be a celebration of your body and something that you do good for your body and a positive thing and for your health and well-being, not a punishment because you ate something or to make you, you know, all about how you look. And over the years, I kind of went from my initial passion to like the bodybuilding, and now I'm back. So now I have like a newfound like love, and I'm excited about it again and everything. So all of my programs now are back to what they should be, which is like for health and wellness. And obviously you get to a nice body, you know, if you do the workout, but they're not extreme is what I'm saying. There's home workouts. I do workouts outdoors. I just went to LA and I filmed for, it's called Plank Fitness Studio, which is awesome. It's a live streaming app. So you can literally like click and log on with me, and I'm talking to you the whole workout.
Well, that's
so I have workouts from home using bands, just using one Mediball, all body weight. So it's like, it's way more, it's like conducive for real people, not, you know, the one little segment that just wants to be a bodybuilder.
Right. Yeah. That's epic.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really excited about that. But my Bikini Boss fitness app is for women only, but the Plank Fitness Studios will be for anybody that wants to work out.
Plank Fitness?
It's called Plank, Plank.
Oh, Plank Fitness.
Plank
sorry.
Fitness Studio, yeah.
I'm going to put links everywhere, so we're going to get all those links off you. So don't worry about that. I love it. I love it. It's just, you're dealing with so many juggling balls, and you're doing it, right? And that's the thing. You're doing it.
I'm trying.
That's all we can do in life, right? Because I think Do you think people forget that this is a ride that's going to be over one day?
You know, ooh, I just got the chills when you said that. Like, that's the thing too. And that's where, you know, when you talk about balance, I've just realized that like after I got sick and stuff, that was really eye-opening for me. And as much as I'm driven with my career, I don't ever let important things like family times, like I don't sacrifice that. So sometimes I literally just don't answer emails. I mean, I know that's bad, but I just shut it off and I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Because
right.
If something happens, you just, I mean, I'm not a negative person at all, but I like to be very in the moment. That's why we travel a lot. We're very into traveling because it's a time for our family to disconnect and be like a really tight family unit.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So what's the best place that people can find you, Theresa?
I guess you would say my Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot. It's my name, Theresa Depasquale Fit. So I'm on my Instagram, my stories. My website is bikinibossfitness.com.
Yes.
And then I have an app as well, which is Bikini Boss app, which is in the App Store.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. Is there any words of wisdom you want to leave the Mindset by Design crew with? Because we went everywhere today. Yeah, I had a ton of questions, you know, and I think I asked one. It's like we just chatted.
That's good. I'll have to come back on again. And you'll have to come online when I start my podcast, which will be soon. So I think when you say Mindset by Design, I think for me, like the thing that's really been instrumental in catapulting me to the next level is I call it my mental fitness. So yeah, I'm actually getting that trademarked. I talk about that in my book, but mental fitness is key. So if you're not taking the time to meditate or to exercise is meditation, to nourish your body and do all these things, then you're never, in my opinion, you'll never get to where you're trying to go. So
yeah, you never get to that level. Beautiful. I love it. That's a great place to end today. But thank you so much, Theresa. I could talk to you for about 20 hours. So we'll definitely get you on again. I'd love to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I can't wait to see
I will. I will.
Ciao.